Good day students. In this video lecture we will be seeing the objective measures of interestingness for evaluation of association patterns. Let us see first what do you mean by an objective measure. An objective measure is a data driven approach for evaluating the quality of association patterns. It is domain independent and requires a minimal input from the users other than to specify a threshold for filtering low quality patterns. So whenever you are doing the objective measures of interestingness, the metrics under that doesn't require in-depth knowledge of a particular domain or domain expertise to a greater extent is not required. Only a minimal input from the users are required. It may be in the form of specifying a threshold like a minimum support is 60% or confidence is 50%, 30% like that. Uh, an objective measure is usually computed based on the frequency counts tabulated in a contingency table. Contingency table is a commonly seen table in statistics. An example for that is given over here where we are having two binary variables a and b. F11 means both A and B are present. F10 means A is present, B is absent. This A bar and B bar indicates the absence of respective entities. So A bar B means A is absent, B is present. Similarly, A bar B bar means both are absent. So each entry Fij in this 2 cross 2 table denotes a frequency count. What is the count of that? For example, say that F11 means how many items are having both A and B. AB bar means how many items are having A but not B, like that. So F11 number of times A and B appear together in same transaction. 01 is number of transactions that contain B but not A. Now here this row sum F1 plus indicates the support count for A, while the column sum F plus 1 indicates the support count for B. So it is very easy to understand. What do you mean by the support count? Support count means how many transactions have a particular item out of total number of transactions, that is the n. Suppose if we take A as a particular item, then this particular row counts all the items that's having this particular item. Out of this n we can compute. That's why we can say F1 plus is a support count for A. Similarly, F1 plus is a support count for B. It indicates F0 plus indicates support count not having A. F plus 0 indicates support count not having B. Let us discuss the following objective measures of interestingness along with their limitations in this particular lecture going forward. That is support and confidence, interest factor, correlation analysis, IS measure. Other than this, there are other measures, but as far as our lecture is concerned, we will concentrate on these four measures of interestingness, where we will see how to compute that, and with an illustration what are its limitations, we will see that. Now let us begin with the support and confidence measure in objective measures of interestingness. Uh, what do you mean by the support? Support determines how often a rule is applicable to a given data set. This formula is already seen in the earlier video lectures, but I am just repeating this for the benefit of the viewers. That is, S x implies y will be support count of x union y divided by total number of transaction. What do you mean by confidence? Confidence determines how frequently items in y appear in the transactions that contain x. That is support count of x union y divided by support count of x. Now let us see the limitations of the support confidence framework. The drawback of the support is that they may have many interesting patterns but with a low support count. because of which they will get eliminated by the support threshold. Even if the patterns are of interesting thing, since the user or the solver of the problem defines certain threshold, it will get eliminated. That is the drawback of the support. So the drawback of the confidence is more subtle and is best demonstrated with the help of one example. So suppose we are interested in analyzing the relationship between people who drink tea and coffee. We may gather the information about the beverage preferences among a group of people and summarize their response as shown in this table. So here the contingency table is given where the tea coffee combination is taken into consideration, and this table can be used to evaluate the association rule. The people who drink tea will also drink the coffee. So we are going to evaluate this rule based on the support and confidence, and we will not worry much about the support over here. We will see what is the limitation or drawback of the confidence. So at the first glance this may appear that people who drink tea also tend to drink coffee. The reason is the rule support is 15% and confidence is 75%. How did you get this, or how we get this support as 15%? You can take here the people drinking tea also drinks coffee, that is the 150 people are doing. Total number of people involved are 1000, so it will be the 15%. How do you calculate the confidence? Confidence is given by people drinking the tea also drinks coffee divided by the people who drink only tea, that is 150 by 200. You will be getting 75% as the confidence level. So this argument of people who drink tea also drinks coffee would have been acceptable if we had something like people who drink coffee regardless of the tea is 80%. Why we are making that particular point is, suppose if you see over here, the people who drink coffee regardless of tea is only 650 people out of 1000, which means 65%. But we are claiming that the confidence of people who drink tea also drinks coffee is 75%. Means my confidence of saying people who drink tea also drinks coffee is greater than people who drink only coffee regardless of tea, because of which we can come to a conclusion that this confidence level is quite misleading. The reason is you don't have the fraction of people who drink only coffee regardless of tea less than 75%. If it would have been greater than 75%, then whatever the claim we are making would have been correct. But since it is the case is not what we are saying, then it is quite misleading that confidence 75% that people who drink tea will also drink coffee. So the pitfall of the confidence can be traced to the fact that measure ignores the support of the item set in the rule consequent, because if you properly see the formula of the confidence, it doesn't take the rule consequent into the consideration. It only says that in the numerator support count of rule antecedent and rule consequent divided by support count of the rule antecedent. So the consequent is not taken into the consideration, because of which we are facing this problem in the confidence. So that is the limitation of the confidence. Because of the limitations in this support confidence framework, various objective measures have been used to evaluate the quality of the association patterns. We will see that which are those quality measures. So interest factor is one quality measure which is used to overcome the limitation of the high confidence rules. So in order to avoid the misleading created by the high confidence rules, confidence measure which ignores the support of the item set in the rule consequent has to be avoided. So we have to take some measure which takes the rule consequent into the consideration. So one way to address this problem is by applying a metric known as the lift. What do you mean by lift? Lift takes confidence into the numerator and support count of the consequent into the denominator. So it computes the ratio between the rules confidence and support of the item set in the rule consequent. So for binary variables, the lift is equivalent to the objective measure called as the interest factor. So we will not see in terms of the lift, but we will call it as the interest factor. So interest factor is defined as I of a comma b is equal to support count of a comma b divided by s of a into s of b. Why we are going to get this? Because s of a comma b divided by s of a means it is the confidence of a implies b divided by the support s of b. So we are going to get this formula for the interest factor, which is equivalent to the this, that is n into f11 divided by f1 plus into f plus 1. So interest factor, what it does means it compares the frequency of a particular pattern against a baseline frequency computed under the statistical independence assumption. So this independence assumption comes if a and b does not appear together, then what is the case? So we are taking that statistical independence as a baseline frequency for the comparison for a and b occurring together. So baseline frequency for a pair of mutually independent variables is this one. So f11 divided by n, if they are independently present, then it is equivalent to f1 plus divided by n into f plus 1 divided by n. Already we have seen that 1 plus means the row sum, plus 1 means the column sum. So this equation follows from the standard approach of using the simple fractions as an estimates for the probabilities, which all of us have seen in the high school or in the 11th or 12th. The fraction f11 divided by n is an estimate for the joint probability. As I have said, the joint probability means what is the probability of occurrence of event A together with B. If we take A and B as separate or independent events, then what is the probability? That is given by this, that is the f1 plus divided by n and f plus 1 divided by n respectively for P of A and P of B. So if A and B are statistically independent, then we can write like this: P of A comma B is equal to P of A into P of B, thus leading to a formula shown in this equation 6.6. So if you want to understand more about the independent events and the joint probability, you can refer into any probability textbooks. You will get the basic definitions of that, what is the theorem related to that and all, because the core focus of this video lecture is not the probability theory. It is a very simple thing. If event A and event B are occurring independently, then you can write it like P of A into P of B. So from the equation 6.5 and 6.6 we can infer for the following, that is, if interest factor is equal to 1, then A if is equal to 1 if A and B are independent, greater than 1 if A and B are positively correlated, less than 1 if A and B are negatively correlated. For the tea and coffee example which we have seen earlier, the interest factor can be calculated in the following way. So support of A comma B divided by support of A into support of B. For this particular table, if you see, the support of T implies coffee will be 150 divided by 1000, which will be 0.15, which is given over here. You can see in the numerator, divided by support of T. Support of T means it is 200 divided by 1000, that is 0.2. You can refer to the table with the slides shared with you. And what is the support of the coffee? Coffee will be 800 divided by 1000, that is 0.8. So your interest factor will be 0.15 divided by 0.2 into 0.8, which will come into 0.9375, thus suggesting a slight negative correlation, since it is less than 1. So negative correlation means we can say that those who drink coffee may not correct means those who drink tea may not drink coffee, like that. So what are the limitations of interest factor? We will see with the help of another example from which is taken from the text mining domain. So in the text mining domain, it is reasonable to assume that the association between a pair of words depends upon the number of documents that contain both words. This you might have seen in the text classification example. If some of you have done the course on the machine learning from MOOC providers like Coursera, NPTEL, or Udemy, then you might have come across the text classification example, where we take the pair of text and see how frequently they are associated. So we are taking a similar example over here. The association between the pair of words we are going to see. Some words will be having a stronger association, and some words will not be having the stronger association. So we will see that example. Suppose if you take the example of the words data and mining, then there are high chances that these two words will appear more frequently in a paragraph or a sentence compared to the words compiler mining, because nobody will say that the compiler mining. So the chances of the pair of words compiler and mining appearing will be very less. So taking this example, we will see what is the limitation of the interest factor. So contingency table is given over here. The P implies Q is given for the data and mining words. R implies S is given for the compiler and mining. So frequency of the occurrence is given for us in the form of the contingency table. Now you calculate the interest factor for both of this. How do you calculate the interest factor for P implies Q? It is very simple. In the numerator you have to take S of support of P implies Q, in the denominator S of P into S of Q. So what will be the S of P implies Q? P implies Q 880 divided by 1000, so 0.88 in the numerator. What will be S of P? S of P will be 930. You have to take this 930 divided by 1000, 0.93. What will be S of Q? 930 divided by 1000, that is 0.93. So you calculate that, it will come around 1.02. In the same way, if you compute it for the R implies S, then interest factor will be 4.08. So these results are somewhat troubling or worrying for us for the following reason. The reason is, although P and Q appear together in 88% of the documents, that is data and mining, their interest factor is close to 1, which is the value when P and Q are statistically independent. On the other hand, if you see the word compiler and mining, it is appearing very less, that is only the 0.2 times of 1000, but its interest factor is quite high, that is 4.08 it is. So in this particular example, our interest factor is quite misleading, and it is leading us to a wrong result, saying that R and S are frequently appearing compared to P and Q. So in this particular case, confidence is a better choice compared to the interest factor. The reason is, if you compute the confidence for P implies Q, it is again very simple. You have to take support of P implies Q divided by support of P, which will be 880 divided by 930, which will come around 94.6%. Similarly, you do for confidence of R implies S, that is support of R implies S divided by support of R, 20 by 70, it will be 28.6. So here you can say that the two words which are frequently appearing or strongly associated is having the higher confidence compared to the pair of words which is not frequently appearing. So in this particular example, the confidence will give a better direction or better result as far as measure is concerned compared to our interest factor. So this is the limitation of the interest factor. So till now we have seen the two measures, that is the support and confidence, then we went into the interest factor. This lecture will be bit lengthy because we have to see two more measures, that is the correlation analysis, as well as the one more thing is which we call it as the IS measure. So IS measure we have to see. So next we will go to the correlation analysis. What do you mean by correlation analysis? It is a simple statistical based technique for analyzing a relationship between the pair of variables. So if it is a continuous variable, then we will go for the Pearson's coefficient, which we have seen in the module 1. Here, since we are considering the binary variables, it will be calculated using the following formula, that is this phi coefficient or the correlation coefficient is equal to f11 into f00 minus f01 into f10 divided by square root of f1 plus f into f plus 1 into f0 plus into f plus 0. So the value of correlation ranges from -1, that is negative correlation, to the +1 perfect positive correlation. If the variables are statistically independent, then phi will be equal to 0. So if you consider the tea coffee example, you will get the correlation as minus 0.0625. So why do you get that value? You just use the contingency table. With the help of that the contingency table, you put the respective values for this, and you compute. If you want, I can give the value from the contingency. You please refer to the contingency table for the tea coffee example. F11 will be 150, F00 will be 150 minus F01 will be 650 into F10 will be 50. Square root of 200 into 800 into 800 into 200. So if you calculate that, you will be getting this particular value, which says that it is a negative correlation. Now let us see the limitations of correlation analysis. So the drawback of the correlation can be seen with the help of this word association example. We are going to take it again. So let us compute the let us compute the correlation for P comma Q and R comma S. If you compute the correlation for both these word association, it turns out to be equal. If it turns out to be equal, then it is quite misleading to us. Why? The reason is P and Q are highly correlated compared to R and S. You can get this value again by substituting into this formula from this table. You just do that. If you are not understanding how to substitute, or if you are not getting which are the particular values you have to substitute, you can comment in the comment section, or you can mail me. Since it turns out to be equal, it is misleading. Why it happens like that in the correlation analysis means it is giving the equal importance to both co-presence and co-absence of the items in a transaction. It is therefore more suitable for analyzing a symmetric binary variables. If you see this particular formula for correlation analysis, it is giving the equal importance to the co-presence as well as sorry, co-absence, because of which we are getting the values like this. So this particular correlation analysis is more suitable for analyzing the symmetric binary variables compared to the asymmetric binary variables. As far as association analysis is concerned, we are more interested in the asymmetric binary variables compared to the symmetric binary variables. I hope all of you know what do you mean by the asymmetric binary variable. Asymmetric binary variable means we will focus only on the items where the presence of the item is given more significance compared to the absence of the item. Another limitation of this measure is that it does not remain invariant when there are proportional changes to the sample size. Next we will go with the IS measure. IS measure is an alternative measure that has been proposed for handling the asymmetric binary variables. So the measure is defined as follows: IS of a comma b is equal to square root of interest factor of a comma b into support of a comma b, which can be written like this. It is very simple. You just substitute what do you mean by I of a comma b. I of a comma b means support of a comma b divided by support of a into support of a support of b. Sorry, again once again I will repeat, that is I of a comma b will be equal to support of a comma b divided by s of a into s of b into s of b. So you will be getting s of a comma b whole square, which will be s of a comma b divided by square root of s of a into s of b. Note that IS is large when the interest factor and support of the pattern are large. So the value for the IS for word pairs will be like this: 0.946 and 0.286 respectively. Again, you can easily calculate this. What you have to do means, for P and Q, you just substitute the support of P comma Q divided by support of P into support of Q. Similarly for R and S you can do, and you can compute. So contrary to the results given by the interest factor and the correlation analysis coefficient, IS measure suggests the association between P and Q is stronger compared to the R and S. So these are some results which they are going to show. The IS measure can also be said, or it can be shown equivalent to the cosine measure of the binary variables. Already you have seen the cosine measure between the two variables in the first module. The same thing we are going to carry over here, that is s of a comma b divided by square root of s of a into s of b will be equal to the cosine measure of binary variables, that is dot product of a into b divided by magnitude of a into magnitude of b, which is equal to cosine of a comma b. And IS measure can also be expressed as the geometric mean between the confidence of the association rules extracted from a pair of binary variables, that is IS of a comma b will be equal to square root of s of a comma b divided by s of a into s of a comma b divided by S of B. Obviously this means the confidence of A implies B into confidence of B implies A. So these two results you have to keep in your mind for the IS measure. So let us now focus on the limitations of the IS measure. So IS value for a pair of independent item sets. Suppose if A and B does not appear together, and if they are independent, then what is the formula for that we are going to see. IS independent will be calculated like this. You know that S of A and B are independent. So S of A into S of B divided by square root of S of A into S of B, which if we multiply by a particular mathematical value, we can show the formula like this, that is the square root of S of A into S of B. It is very simple, you can just work it out and check. Now the problem is in the limitation. Suppose if we take this particular table and compute the IS independent value for this, then it will appear 0.9. Just you substitute to the square root of S of A into S of B. What do you do means you just substitute 0.9 into 0.9, which will be giving you the 0.9, that is the IS independent value. But what is the IS dependent value for this? You have to use this formula and compute. It will be coming around 0.889, that is 0.8 divided by square root of 0.9 into 0.9. So what this says means, even though we are saying P and Q are closely related or correlated, its independent formula is saying that it is not correlated. Why? It is having the higher value compared to the correlated value. So this is the limitation of the IS measure, which we have shown using this contingency table. So I strongly suggest all of you to go through each of this contingency table and work out, and you will get the required values. So this is the limitation of the IS measure. So till now we have seen the four measures, that is support and confidence. Then we have seen the interest factor. After that we have seen the correlation analysis. After that IS measure. So four measures are over. Next we are going to see the alternative objective interestingness measures. Besides the measures which we have described earlier, there are other alternative measures proposed for analyzing the relationships between pairs of binary variables. These measures can be divided into two categories, that is symmetric and asymmetric measures. A measure M is symmetric if M of A implies B is equal to M of B implies A. If A implies B and B implies A are equivalent, then it is called as a symmetric measure. So interest factor is a symmetric measure because its value is identical for A implies B and B implies A. In contrast, confidence is an asymmetric measure, since confidence for A implies B and B implies A may not be the same. So symmetric measures are generally used for evaluating the item sets, while asymmetric measures are more suitable for analyzing the association rules. So let us see some of the list of measures which can be used for symmetric and asymmetric measures. We are not going in detail of all these measures because there are a lot of measures and it is beyond the scope of your syllabus also. If you are interested, you can check one by one. Four measures which we have already covered, that is the support and confidence, interest factor, correlation analysis and IS measure. So these are the symmetric objective measures: correlation, odds ratio, kappa, interest, correlation and all we have seen already. And asymmetric are these things: Goodman-Kruskal, J measure, Gini index and all. You can use these respective measures in your problem and you can solve. So this brings us to an end of the lecture on objective measures of interestingness. So I think this video lecture is quite lengthy, but what do you do means you go through each of these measures very patiently and put the values and work out. You will get it. It is very simple. Just a statistical formula is there. Using the contingency table, you have to put the particular frequency count and you have to get the result. In case of any doubt, you can put it in the comment section or you can mail me and you can ask. Thank you.